Okay. Hello, everybody. Um, Thank you for being here today. It's so fun to see people. So my name, like I said, is Lisa. It is spelt with an E. It is not pronounced lice, although I have been called that many times, and I'm like, who calls their kids lice? I don't know. I know the new names nowadays are a little bit strange, but that would be like some kind of abuse or something to call your kid lice. So anyways, it's Scandinavian, and in Scandinavian countries, girls' names with end in E is pronounced A. A little lesson, and I don't know, I'm a Canadian, so I don't even know why my parents named me a Scandinavian name that was spelled Scandinavian when I was born in North Vancouver, British Columbia. I've had to explain my name my whole life. So I am very new to Arizona. I understand that most people are not from Arizona. They just moved to Arizona. And so, like I said, I'm a Canadian. I married my husband 8 years ago, and I moved to America. And we lived in Washington State, and we just moved here October 1st. So I keep telling myself I've traded a terrible winter for a terrible summer, and I'm bracing myself, and I'm hoping that I'll acclimate before the summer. When we moved here, it was 110 degrees. That was pretty hot. You're all looking at me like, girl, you just wait. All right, so we are making a cheese ball today, and I have to tell you, I just lost my cheese ball virginity yesterday, so I had never made a cheese ball before. Excuse my bad humor. Ba-bum-bum. So we are making a cheese ball, and I'm going to attempt for the second time ever to make it look like a leprechaun. And no, it is not as easy as it sounds. So first, have you all made cheese balls before? Oh yeah, so I'm showing you seasoned people how to make a cheese ball. That's super fun for me. So first of all, you want to make sure your cream cheese is at room temperature. In fact, cheese should always be served at room temperature. Okay, so my background is my family owns a restaurant in White Rock, British Columbia, and we opened a bakery because we thought that was a good idea. Not a good idea. As well. And then part of the bakery we had retail, so we had high-end food products and a cheese market, and I had about 120 varieties of cheese. And then we sold, like I said, high-end cheese or high-end food products, and then I started catering out of that as well. So I actually catered for a funeral home for 3 years, as well as I did weddings and celebrations and anniversaries, and the largest thing I ever catered was the Canadian Youth Track and Field Competition, and I had to serve 1,600 kids on a field without running water. So this is nothing. This is easy. I shouldn't complain. So yeah, so that's how I entered into the food and beverage business. Before that, I had managed a hotel up north in Prince George, British Columbia. And I have an accounting background as well. So the only time I ever use math is when I'm actually baking. I don't otherwise use math. Fun, stupid fact about me. I have 5 kids. Their ages are 27, 22, 21, 18, and 6. Yeah, oops. When I met my husband, he didn't have any kids, and I started dating him, and I said, just because I can doesn't mean I will, buddy. And then, you fall in love, and so I was like, okay, just one, plug my nose. And it was a boy, and I have 4, my oldest girls, our daughters are obviously girls. My oldest kids are all girls. So it was kind of fun to have a little boy. I call him my sunset baby. He's 11 months older than my grandson. So that's fun too. I'm basically the best advertisement for never say never. All right, so now that I've kind of just, can you see that? I just kind of splattered it down, made it a little bit more soft. I'm going to add some cheddar cheese now. So 1 cup of cheddar cheese. So when I had my cheese market, I had no idea there was so much to know about cheese. And I used to like read books and learn as much as I could. And there was a nice big cheese shop over on Vancouver Island, so I decided to go see that. So I took one of my girls with me, and she was so embarrassed because here we are on the ferry going back and forth. And she said, "Oh, I'm looking for my other cheese, but I don't see it. Did I miss it?" Oh. Somehow I lost the pepper jack cheese. But anyways, pepper jack cheese into the mix. Don't worry, you're not eating this one. So anyways, I had this book I was reading on the ferry about cheese, and one of my daughters was with me, and she was 10 at the time, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, please put the book of cheese down. You are so embarrassing." But there was so much to learn, and it was so interesting to me that cheese is alive. Did you know that? Cheese is alive. The bacteria in it is constantly changing it, and it's growing. And that's why it goes moldy, obviously, because of the bacteria in it. I'm just going to start adding my different ingredients. I've got my bacon bits here. I just use double smoked bacon. And so anyways, I cut a 80-kilo wheel of Emmentaler on a stage before we had our grand opening, and it was just a wire cutter, and you pull it through, and the wire broke, and I went flying back on stage and landed on my butt, so that was fun. So cheese, if you put cheese in your freezer, one time I had this really irate customer who said, "Oh, my cheese went bad so fast." And I said, "Well, what did you do with it?" She said, "Well, I threw it in my freezer." So you can freeze cheese. But when you change, like when you heat it up or you freeze it, you change the molecular structure of that cheese. And so if you ever notice, try to grate frozen cheese, it won't grate anymore, it'll crumble. And that's because you've changed the molecular structure. So I said, well, if you've frozen your cheese, when you defrost it, it's going to go bad extra fast because it's just out of whack. So you've pulled all that bacteria right to the surface. So I'm adding the pecans. So the recipe you have in front of you you can roll it in the pecans, but I'm just adding them in because I'm going to decorate like a leprechaun. And I don't want him to look like he has warts all over his skin. So same thing with poppy seeds. Put the poppy seeds just right in it. Poppy seeds are just always a good idea. They just taste so good. And then, of course, I have all my spices all in one container just for time purposes. Okay. And then, so you're just going to work this all in. So fun. Use your muscles. So I moved down to Washington State. I worked at a large resort in Blaine, Washington. I was the food and beverage director there. And I had 190 employees that worked for me. We did weddings. We had 2 restaurants on site. We had 2 golf courses with 2 clubhouses, plus a cafe. We had 35,000 square feet of banquet space. So a typical week in the summer, we had about 5 weddings, some business meetings, 2 public barbecues on the weekend with live music, plus the restaurants, the cafe, and the clubhouses. So we served probably 8,000 to 10,000 people a week. So when COVID hit, it was really hard because we had to lay everybody off, and I went from 190 in season to about 120 off season to about 25. And when I had, your sales reps coming, they would, you would have weekly. I had my sales reps come in to take my order. All of a sudden, the sales division manager was coming to take my order, and then all of a sudden, the CEOs were coming to take my order. And so that's just really how dismal the industry and how hard hit it was, affected by the COVID. And so my husband and I decided, we had talked about moving to Arizona down the road, and my youngest daughter living at home was had planned to go to GCU here, and I said to my husband, well, I'm ready to leave the other girls. They can stay here. But I'm not really ready to leave my baby girl. And so we decided to sell our house. And so we listed it. We sold it within 24 hours. And we moved here. Well, actually, 2 days after we decided to move here, my husband's company was bought out and his position was eliminated. So we really felt it was meant to be. And so, yeah, so here we are. And I've been at Brookdale since December. And I have to say, I've done a lot of things. Like I said, I've catered funerals. The most interesting funeral I ever catered he was a clown. And so they had all his clown outfits out. It was a little creepy, but it was also really cool and really wonderful. And so I've done, like I said, I've done weddings, I've done all sorts of celebrations and graduations and in the restaurants and doing weddings and I have to say this is my first time in senior living, and I feel that has given me a sense of purpose that I didn't know I was missing. To be able to cook and provide meals and write amazing menus for these people is a privilege, and I feel honored to be there and to serve them. And so we really do put our best foot. As the leader of the kitchen, that's definitely my mantra. We are here for them. They are first, and they deserve our best. And so I love my job. And I don't have any Karens there either, so that's fun. Y'all know the Karens, the ones that complain in the restaurants all the time about everything. So anyways, there you go. And I also forgot my saran wrap because, of course I did. But you would wrap this in saran wrap, and I'll show you the other ones just like this. Wrap it tightly. You would just mold it with your hands into a ball, but you can tell it pretty much does it itself. And then refrigerate overnight. You can do it a couple hours ahead, but it's just easier to do it the day before, right? Okay, so now I'm going to change my gloves here, to decorate this cheese ball like a leprechaun. You're not going to judge me if I do a bad job, right? Okay, let's just change my gloves here. Anybody have any questions so far? Yes. You know what? I think it's just the amount of time you're going to end up scraping it from from your whisk. Unless you use the hook, you could probably do it like that for sure. It doesn't take that much. I mean, really, the more room temperature your cream cheese is, the more it's going to blend. Yes.
Do me a favor. If they ask a question, would you repeat?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're the only one that's mic'd, so we get the question.
Okay, do you want me to repeat it now or not? This is new. Yes.
Sometimes you can buy whipped cream cheese. Does that work, or it's just the regular cream cheese?
Just the regular cream cheese. So she's asking if you could use whipped cream cheese. Whipped cream cheese has been, I think they must add something to it to keep it like that. So I would just always use the regular loaf cream cheese. So it's just like 2 packages of Philadelphia. Sometimes it matters when name brands, have you noticed that? I'm sure you've all noticed that. Sometimes name brand really matters. I personally don't think cream cheese does. I think the biggest thing that I said yesterday, the biggest thing that I think is Worcestershire sauce, which I love. It has to be Lee and Perrins. Do not buy French's. That stuff is gross. You agree? Isn't it funny how sometimes it's like, so at the resort, I led our wine club. We had a wine club there. And so I did all the wine dinners, and I did lots of wine pairings and wine classes and stuff like that. And so when I thought I knew I had to learn so much about cheese, I had no idea there was so much to learn about wine. But it's a whole lot more fun than cheese. So I love learning about wine. And it doesn't have to be expensive to be good wine. Did you know that? although I have become a bit of a snob. Some days you just need the wine in a box. I mean, let's be honest, right? Okay, so I have some carrots for the hair. Can you see it in that? Maybe I'll put it on here so you can see a little bit better. Yeah, this is it. From yesterday. No, because it was sad looking. Okay. So I kept my carrot slices in ice water overnight. That helps them stay nice and fresh and crisp. So you get the idea, right? This one makes a fun eyebrow hair. So just have fun with it. I don't know if do you plan on decorating your cheese ball? Have you ever seen those things on Facebook where they show like, you all know Pinterest, and they show like the picture of the Pinterest, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna make that. It's gonna be awesome. And then they show pictures of what people actually like. They try to make it and what it actually looks like. Be prepared to have your mind blown. How terrible this is gonna. It's hard. Okay. So he just has some long hair now. Okay. So my husband and I are trying to buy a house right now. It is crazy out there. Do y'all live here full time, or do you go home in the summer? Full time? Okay, there's his hair and his beard, and now I'm going to use some olives for his eyes. I didn't have black olives, I have brown olives, so it's extra creepy looking, okay? Is he starting to look like something? Okay, his hat. This is the hardest part. I had a thought. I don't know if this is going to work. I thought it'd be funny to give him a hairy nose. Gross. I don't know, it's kind of a man thing. All right. There, he's got a hairy nose. I did the picture had a red pepper, and I tried to do the red pepper yesterday. It just wouldn't stick in, and I couldn't like shove it in hard enough. And then the rest, the brains were going to come out the back, so I thought, no, I'll just try. Let's see if this will work. a little bit lighter. I might stick to it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now the hat. I'm making a mess of this. And then I thought I would try this for the rim of the hat, because yesterday I tried to do the brim with the other piece of the pepper, but same thing, it didn't really want to sit. So I thought, well, maybe a kale. And it'll just kind of be a fancy rimmed hat. His hairy nose just kills me. I love it. Can you see how hairy it is? Let's see if I... Kind of looks like a wee leprechaun, hey? Look at that hairy nose. Look at that hairy nose. All right. Okay, so Renee is going to pass that out, and I am going to get on to the dessert. So this is a Leprechaun dessert shooter. So I put them in a little bit bigger glasses because surprise, surprise, I don't have any shot glasses at the retirement home. But you could make this boozy if you'd like. You can make it not boozy if you don't like. But the best thing about any kind of dessert like this is just really the sky's the limit. And I love to just be able to look in my cupboard and be like, what do I have? You know, if you have, I'm using Oreos, but if you had graham crackers, use graham crackers. That would taste delicious too. So it's whatever you have. I just love to be able to utilize what's in my closet or my cupboard. You could put mint chocolate chips. I actually tried to find mint chocolate chips, and I couldn't find them at the store. But I did find some mint Oreos, so I had used those. And then I just have regular Oreos as well. So I'll just show you real quick how to do this. Okay, so I have vanilla pudding, Bailey's. And it's just a rule of thumb. When you're cooking with alcohol, you must be drinking the alcohol at the same time. And that is one thing when you are cooking with wine, because cooking with wine just does improve a whole lot of dishes. Don't just use the cheap cooking wine. Use whatever wine you're going to be serving for dinner. Use that in your food, and that will elevate your dish. Unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, so this is so simple. So vanilla pudding, nasty old food coloring, however much you want. Depends how green you want it to be. All right. Cup, obviously you want it to see the layers, so you want to use a cup you can see through. And just putting on the bottom. And a really easy way to break up cookies or anything like that is I love having flexible cutting boards, because you just put saran wrap on top of it, put your cookies in between, fold it over, and crush. Okay, super simple. But of course I forgot the wrap, but I already crushed them at work this morning, so I have some ready here. I'm cheating. And more pudding. Okay, so you can see the layer in there. All right, and then I have Cool Whip because Cool Whip is just cool. And it's always just so good. And I just add my Baileys straight to the Cool Whip. And to myself, no. And then just stir it up. Can we just stir it right in there?
Just want to make sure the children don't get into the school room.
Yeah, children and the spiked mommy's Cool Whips at the back of the fridge. Yes, I have a special child, my third one, who has made mommy have lots of fun Cool Whip. I don't know why it's always the third that's the hardest, but man. She's currently living in my garage, and I'm not kidding. So she ended up following me here, and I just am renting a small place, so I didn't have room. I figured that way when it gets hot, she doesn't have a choice. She's got to move out. All right, so just top it with your boozy Cool Whip. Add some chocolate chips. I happen to have some green sparklies sprinkles. And then some fun rainbow sprinkles, because you know, sprinkles. And there you go. That's it. So you can obviously, again, make these ahead of time and just serve them whenever. Just keep them chilled and serve them whenever you're ready to do it. And use what other pistachio pudding would be really good in this too. And then it's already green already, and you don't have to add the food coloring because they already did it for you. So that's easy. Or you know what, really do chocolate pudding. Honestly, it's the same with wine, same with cheese. It's all preference. And the good news is nobody can tell you what you can and cannot have. I have my degree in nutrition, and it's so funny. When I got to Brookdale, I was like, I'm going to just make everything like even more nutritious, and I'm going to put beets on everything. And I had a meeting with some of the residents, and one gentleman put his hand up, and he says, I'm 94 years old, and I just want French fries. And I was like, absolutely, sir. You will get your French fries. It's all about you. It's all okay. So any questions? No? Well, thank you so much. Thank you for letting us come here and do this. It was a lot of